Hey everyone, welcome into the ADN studio for an all-new episode of the Players Lounge. Well, the Cincinnati Bearcats were picked to win the American Athletic Conference at the beginning of the season. They're currently sitting at 5-0 in the conference standings at the top. So we thought, what better person to welcome into our studio today? Cincinnati Bearcat fans, they know him, they love him. It's Gary Clark. Gary, we're happy to have you here in the studio today. Now, it's been a pretty good start for your team this season. Only 2 losses on the schedule and a great start in conference play. What is the difference from your team now compared to when you guys got rolling in the beginning of the season?
I think the defensive intensity and execution. I think we didn't communicate well defensively early on when we lost to Xavier and Florida, and I think now it's more so our guys are bought in, and it's really paying off. You can see we're holding teams under 50 points.
Now, you've played a very big role on this team since your freshman season, and it's been so much fun watching you grow and develop over the course of 4 years. Hard to believe that you're a senior, but you get to play with a pretty impressive guy as well in Kyle Washington, and together you guys make a pretty good team. What's it been like getting to play with Kyle?
It's been cool. Him when he got here, we would go at it. Nobody really knew how intense he was until he got here. And it was one of those things that shocked everyone because he's so good and so enthusiastic. It's like, you walk in a room and you know he's in there. And so in practice, he lets you know when you score on him or when you can't guard him. And it's just like, it's intense, but it's fun. And it translates in games. We go up for a captain's meeting. I always make him the speaking captain so that the refs can talk to him when he loses a little bit during the games. And some refs are like, really, he's the speaking captain? I was like, I did it on purpose. So he's a good guy, and I love playing with him. And just working together on the low blocks it's fun when you pass it to someone, he can pass it to me, and we can just execute.
Yeah, so 2 big guys, and combined you guys are averaging over 22 points a game. What challenges does that present other teams?
It's just a threat. You got to have a decent-sized 4-man and a 5-man that can really, defend us both off the dribble and on the perimeter, inside, and just be alert at all times. Typically, most teams only have one guy that can, that can play defense and score against us and try to make us play defense. So usually if a team has one big guy, one of us will have a good night. So, it's based off of who's guarding us.
So earlier this week, your team came up with a big win on the road at UCF, and I guess you could say there was a special fan in attendance, Tampa Bay Rays All-Star Chris Archer. And Gary, you and Chris actually grew up together in Clayton, North Carolina. What is that relationship like, and what was it like having him in attendance at the UCF game?
It was unique, because he came to my game as a freshman when we played at NC State. And I had a bunch of fans and family there, but he hasn't seen me play since then. So he reached out to me after the USF game, and he was like, "Man, I'm gonna try to fix some things around so I can make your game." And he was one of those guys I grew up, it's like Chris Archer. He was the first guy out of my town to really make it and go do something. So every time he came back, everyone was trying to see him. He played basketball as well, so he'd always come to practices and come to my games in high school. So it was unique to see him at a game and actually how thrilled he was after some of my dunks. And it was good to have someone back home actually, in attendance down at UCF.
So have you guys ever played on a team together or competed against one another?
No, we haven't. I've seen him work out a couple times. We trained with the same guy back when I was in high school. He would come back and train, but we never played against each other. He's really competitive though, so it's probably be crazy.
So then I can't ask you who the better athlete is then.
I would take it, but I wouldn't. We're not sure yet, but he's pretty athletic. He does a lot. He played basketball and baseball. I think he played football as well.
All right, well, let's move on, talk a little bit more basketball. So obviously you're playing in a conference that's very competitive, tough games week in and week out, and there's a new member in this conference, and you guys haven't gotten to play each other yet this year, but I'm sure everybody is kind of keeping tabs on how everybody is doing. What have you seen from Wichita State so far, and are you looking forward to getting to meet up with them twice and to close out the year with the Shockers on the road?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where you hear it Everyone's talking about how good we are and they are. And I watched them last night play SMU, and first thing you notice is how deep they are. They have so many guys that constantly they put in the game, and it wears down most teams. And when they use it to their advantage, they're really hard to beat. And I think looking forward to it as far as them coming to us. It'll be a showdown, and especially going to them because it's probably to be their senior night, if I'm not mistaken. So those will be two tough games, but good games that most players love playing in.
You get to meet most of the teams in this conference 2, maybe even 3 times in a year. If you meet again in the conference tournament, what is that preparation like for you week in and week out? Obviously, you guys are getting ready to play the next team on your schedule, but how much are you watching these other games on your nights off, I guess?
Hey, we watch it a lot. Our assistant coaches always text us when games are on, and I think our team now is watch more basketball on our opponents more than I've experienced since I've been here. And it's it's good to know because some of the teams that in the past haven't been so good are winning at home. So now when you go to their arena how serious it is, because it's one thing for coaches to say, oh, they won here or they beat this team, but for you to actually watch and see, okay, this team really executed and got a W at home, and then you're able to really know the preparation is key going to other people's arena.
Now, you've gotten to play for Coach Cronin the past 4 years, so there's probably a few people, especially on the roster, that know him better than you do. Obviously a very intense figure on the sideline during a game, but I've had some great conversations with Coach too. So coming from you, though, a guy that knows him pretty well, can you give us a funny Coach Cronin story or maybe a favorite saying that he's always throwing out there at you guys at practice?
Ooh.
Now's your chance, but don't say anything that's going to get you in trouble.
No, Coach is funny. I think one of my favorites. He used it as a freshman, and he uses it to our big guys. It's like, it does you no good to look like Tarzan and play like Jane. So that's one of my favorites. He used it for Cincinnati Bearcats when he got here, and he used it for Nas for some time. So and Kyle Washington, he used it for him when he first got here.
I like it. Who would you say is the funniest guy on the team?
Funniest guy would have to be Kyle. Maybe Kyle or Trevor Moore, our freshman. Trevor dances any chance he gets, and Mamadou he dances well, but he's quiet, and he doesn't. You don't expect some of the stuff he does. And Kyle is just a loose cannon sometimes, and you gotta I'm like Kyle's shadow. I'm always making sure that he's not gonna lose it, or he's on point in practice and ready to practice and ready for a game. So I'm like his little shadow that's always like making sure he's on task.
So you're keeping all the guys together, keeping them focused, but letting them have a good time too, it sounds like. But Gary, for you, when you think back to the past 4 years, this one's obviously not over yet, but has it kind of sunk in yet that you're a senior and each time you maybe head on the road to play a team or host a team at home, that this is the last time that you're going to be doing some of these things? Has that hit you yet?
I think it hit me the other night against USF. We were struggling and we came to immediate timeout, and Coach Cronin, he was yelling at me. He was like, what are you going to do? Wait until your senior year is over with, because I was waiting for the double team. And I wasn't being aggressive offensively, and it kind of hit me then that he is right. We're on the back end of my senior year, my last go around, and I think that really, ever since then, it sunk in. And I've just been super aggressive against UCF, and it's just one of those things. Now it's finally like it's overwhelming, but I'm trying to embrace and enjoy every moment I have left, because every last that was my last time playing at UCF. I'm looking at it's my last practice. Stuff like that. Every little thing, I'm always telling myself, this is your last one, so go hard, take advantage of it.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. It's been so much fun watching you grow over the past 4 years and getting to cover you and your team. And you guys are poised for some great things this year, so we wish you the best of luck. And March will be here before we know it. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of the Players Lounge. And thanks again to Gary Clark. We'll see you back here next week on the American Digital Network.